Also get to some baseball. Here's the Yankee lineup tonight. I told you I thought Sanchez would be out of the lineup tonight, and he is again. He's not catching. Gaudy, Judge, Bird, Stanton DH, Didi, Hicks, Neil Walker at third to spell Andujar and get Walker a couple of at-bats. Romine, who's been swinging a very hot bat, hitting .358, catching. And then Torres, you heard Aaron Boone say he toyed with putting Torres in the middle of the lineup and decided tonight to bat him back in the 9 spot. So that's the Yankee lineup this evening. Now for the Mets. Against the Cubbies at home, Nimmo, who's been swinging the bat well in right. Cabrera, who's been swinging the bat well at second. Batista in left, who's been swinging the bat well. You get the little bit of a little trend here. Swinging the bat well, swinging the bat well, swinging the bat well. 3 straight guys. Conforto, Mesoraco, Bruce, Rosario, who last night showed you a couple of things. Showed you some punch again, launching one up the gap. Showed you some speed, turning that into a triple. And boy, did he turn and put the Jets on. And then showed you some glove work with an incredible double play that changed the game. 3-1 down, first and third, 1 out, 8th inning, up the middle, looked like a base hit. He turned it into a double play. Biggest play of the game, saved the game for the Mets. So you saw speed, power, and glove from Rosario at short. You like seeing that last night. Game's at third, and Lugo is on the mound. That's the lineup this evening. So Nimmo's getting on base, swinging the bat. Cabrera's been the best player this year. And Joey Bats he's looked good. Jose Batista has really swung the bat with some authority. He's hitting ropes. He does not look done. You know, you think a guy goes over there, you know, they got rid of him right away. And you look at him, and I tell you, he's really swinging the bat well, and the ball's jumping off his bat. It really is. He looks like a guy who has scared pitches for a long time, and he's hit, you know, he's probably got 350 home runs lifetime or right around there. I mean, the guy's hit a lot of home runs. He's definitely over 300. I don't know if he's got 350, but he's somewhere in that neighborhood. He's got a lot of home runs. He's had a good career. 330 what? 33. Oh, he's got 333. So, you know. I know he'd hate to break that up, but he'd like to get the 334, I'm sure. But he's swinging the bat well. And so is Cabrera, and so is Nimmo. And so is Rosario. What's his average up to Rosario now? It's up 260? All right. He's swinging the bat well, too. And hit a triple last night. And I tell you, did he scoot around those bases? Man, he was cooking. Really was. 265. He's starting to, and he's hitting with some authority, too. So the Mets actually a little, I don't want to say light at the end of the tunnel, but a couple of guys at least swinging the bat okay right now. All right, Sandy. We got to get to that. Yes, Mons, I want to get to that. All right, Sandy met the media. Let's see what we can ascertain. So let's listen.
The latest on David Wright. David is still not doing baseball activity. Do expect within the next several weeks, that could be 1, that could be 3. It's really imprecise at this point that he will transition into baseball activity. So his rehab has been making progress. We'll see with the upgrade in intensity and overall activity whether his physical condition remains the same, improves, or deteriorates. It's just uncertain at this point.
David on the right.
Well, I guess this doesn't really qualify as full baseball activity, but we saw him playing catch earlier, so I guess that was just maybe just kind of a testing.
Yeah.
Because I think that was the first time. Is that the first time you've done that in a long time? It's hard to know.
I can't tell you precisely whether that was the first time or one of a few.
Tony in the front.
Just one more on David. I know you had been scheduled to have some sort of benchmark checkup or whatever it might be at the end of May. I assume you had that, and what exactly did that kind of reveal?
Is this all about Wright?
He has occasional checkups pursuant to his program, pursuant to a variety of other administrative requirements. Really, I don't think that there was anything new in terms of his condition. I think this is all a function of what happens next when he increases his level of activity.
Come on.
James on the
Let's
left.
get in the real world.
Sandy, obviously, the past road trip, some of the games were tough and kind of, were lost by the bullpen and pitching in that sense. But right now, where would you evaluate the organization's pitching depth? And do you think there is enough pitching depth overall, top to bottom, to compete and compete for the playoffs?
Yeah. Well, I think that we're all very aware of the number of pitchers who've had either to be put on the disabled list or have experienced injuries over the last 10 to 14 days or even further back. But we also have a number of injuries to players on the 40-man roster who are currently at Las Vegas or elsewhere. So the Corey Oswalds of the world, Tyler Bachelor, one or two others just are not available to us currently. So at this stage, we were forced yesterday to add 2 non-roster pitchers to our 40-man roster, one of whom pitched, I think, well in his debut. So we've run through some depth. I actually believe that as we get those players back, and most of those at the minor league level on the 40-man roster are close to being reactivated. We're close to getting Swarzak back. So I think that the depth of our bullpen has been tested. There's no question about that. And I think that has to do in part with some injuries that we've incurred, but it's also due in part to the fact that a number of our starters in a number of games have gone 3 innings, 4 innings. That has really tested the bullpen in terms of sheer volume. So I'm actually not that concerned about having enough bullpen depth, and to the extent that we need to find somebody else, we'll hope that a Tim Peterson shows up on a given night and pitches well for us, and we continue to look for that kind of pitcher. So I'm actually not as concerned about our relief pitching in that depth as I am about the fact that our starting pitching has not been going even 5 innings consistently. When you end up with a 3 spot unexpectedly, and the consequence that has on the rest of the staff, and that happens periodically, that's going to have a tremendously negative impact. Yes.
Tim in the left front.
You guys made a lot of minor league signings in AA and AAA. Looking back, do you think, since the start of the season, I should say, looking back, do you think you provided enough kind of organizational wide depth going into spring training and into the season?
Again, you only have 40 roster spots. You also have to be able to attract non-roster players who see an opportunity. We felt very good coming out of spring training that we would have the necessary depth, particularly on the pitching side. We added a number of additional pitchers in particular at the AAA level to replace other players that we signed at the AAA level just to be competitive at Las Vegas. So, and that's a sort of a continuing process. So I don't really think that we've added a lot of organizational players to replace rostered players that we rely on. But there's definitely been a lot of churn in the organizational players that we've signed.
Pete on the right.
Is there an update on Mets?
Yeah, so I was with Stephen yesterday when he was examined. Very slight, modest strain of that index finger. The original plan was to have him not throw until tomorrow or Saturday. He felt great today. We consulted with the doctor, the hand specialist, and he's going to play catch today. So, right now.
And let's get. I'm not getting anything out of this thing. So I didn't know the first couple minutes were going to be about Wright, which this is not offensive to David at all. But I mean, let's not take David seriously here, okay? I mean, if he ever comes back, we'll all be thrilled. But you can't take it seriously. I mean, he's months from playing. And in season, it's just not anything to discuss. And, you know, you heard him talk about the other positions. We'll see what happens. You know, they got a couple guys playing better in the lineup. They're mixing and matching, trying to get enough guys to start. Matz didn't go on the DL. Hopefully Syndergaard's okay, and that's really where they are right now. So, you know, they don't have a lot of, they don't have a lot of depth in that pitching. They're doing the best they can, I guess. They've done a lot of weird, odd things in how they've dealt with their pitches. We'll see where it takes them. Ian in Belmar, what's up, Ian?
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
What's happening?
I know I've called in a few times about the series coming up, but I'm looking at it. Isn't it absurd to see a line at -13 for the Game 1 of NBA Finals?
You know, Golden State scores a lot of points.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, they're heavy favorites at home against everybody. I guess you don't remember when the Bulls played because the Bulls were heavy favorites in a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
They're a big favorite. I mean, you know, that sounds like an extremely high line. I understand that, but if you noticed, a lot of those games in the last round, there were a lot of blowout games. There've been a lot of blowout games in the playoffs in these games. There's been a ton of There've been series that have gone long, but there've been very few close games in these playoffs. There've been a lot of blowouts.
I know most of the games. I feel like in the third quarter, I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of those games. I mean, the Cleveland Boston series was all like that. I mean, there was very few games went down a stretch.
Yeah, but so I know that they came out. This is obviously a rumor that Chris Paul is recruiting LeBron.
Well, I mean, it's, again, you're going to hear that stuff all the time. I mean, you're gonna hear that. I told you that you're going to hear more about LeBron James's future than you're going to hear about this series. I mean, I wasn't kidding when I said that. It's really true. I mean, yeah. So you're going to hear about him going to this team, that team, this team, because he changes the balance of power in the league next year if he leaves. And, you know, it's hard to see him staying in Cleveland next year. I mean, so who knows if he will or he won't? I just don't know. I don't know that anybody knows. Again, it's not a money issue anymore. So it's not even that Cleveland can pay him more money that's going to attract him. I don't think he's now down to the last couple of years of his career, and he's already banked a fortune in money. So it doesn't make much difference anymore about how much he gets paid. I mean, it matters to a lot of people, but the difference between $20 million and $35 million to him is just a drop in the bucket when you have, you know, $500 or $600 million in the bank. Dominic in Belmore, what's up, Dominic?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
What's happening?
Just with Sandy Alderson, not much. Sandy Alderson, not only is he just obnoxious as a general manager in general, just with the way he signs these scrap heap guys for money that he could have got actual real players. I can't even listen to him talk anymore. He clears his throat and says about 1 million times for a press conference. It's obnoxious.
I mean, if you're alluding to that he is not a bright man, you could not be more.
No, I'm not alluding to that. For a bright man, it's weird that he does.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he might not be the best public speaker. I'll give you that. He happens to be a very bright man. You know, he's Ivy League educated. Sandy is both smart and tough. He's a Marine and he's Ivy League educated. So he's both, which is an unusual combination, but he is both. Nate in West Orange. What's up, Nate?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
What's happening?
So, Mike, I was listening yesterday about Gardner, about people wanting to trade him or whatnot. I agree with you as a Yankee. He's been there for many years, but here's the thing. From what I heard, I thought his contract's up next year.
The Yankees have they can buy him out for $2 million. They can keep him for $12 million.
So in that case, if they want to go young, which I think they should, I mean, I love Gardner. I would want him to stay, but the thing is, I think that it could be Frazier's time. I don't know, but
I don't think he'll be here.
You think they want to trade him?
I think he'll wind up in the trade. I think he's a logical piece to the trade. That when they go get pitchers, and they will, I think he's a logical piece to go. It doesn't mean he has to go, but he's a logical piece to go.
Okay. I just know, like, from what I see with the Yankees and all the youth, I want them to be young, but I mean, I love Gardner, and I would hate to see him go. Don't get me wrong.
Listen, he's had a long career here. I understand. You're not doing anything wrong by saying he should go. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. He's been here a very long time, and the Yankees have a buyout of $2 million. He gets to stay for $12 million. Jim and Comac. What's up, Jim?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
What's happening?
I just wanted to discuss with you Sandy Alderson discussing David Wright. I mean, is there really any chance that this guy's ever going to be able to contribute at the major league level again?
Extremely doubtful, but they're just being courteous to his plight. That's all they're doing. They love the guy. They're being courteous to his. He's still part of the team to them. He's not going to be playing this year. We know that. They're just being polite. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, let me ask you a question just on the side. Why doesn't he retire?
Well, you'd have to ask him that. I can't answer the question.
Do you have any? I mean,
I don't have any. It's his decision. It's not anybody else's.
Yeah, good enough. Good enough.
He's part of the team. He gets paid, and he continues to try to see if he can return. I mean, his dream is to play baseball, and you're telling him when to end his dream. I understand that from your standpoint, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense at most people's standpoint. He will retire when he has, in his own mind, exhausted his comebacks, I guess. I think he just feels that he owes it to himself to try, I guess. Or maybe he feels he owes it to the organization to try. I don't know which one. But let's be honest, he's not part of the picture right now. Tom and Yonkers, what's up, Tom?
I have a quick question for you, Mike. With David Wright sort of back in the news in a way.
He's not really.
I know. Can you remember or recall any player that has had a similar path like this, on track to be so good, a captain, and then these injury bugs just plaguing the whole rest of his career? Is there anyone that comes to top?
Well, I mean, there's many guys whose careers have been. We've watched players who were on their way to brilliant careers be derailed. Strawberry's career was derailed. Gooden's career was derailed. Mattingly's career was derailed by a back injury. He kept playing, but he was no longer the same player. So we've seen injuries derail guys' careers. It does happen. He had signed what was in essence a big contract with the Mets and has tried to make it back. It's kind of. We can say it's pointless. He doesn't look at it that way. Is he coming back? No. I mean, for them to even announce, I think they do that for him. Even to announce he's still weeks away from. Well, we're in June, and he's weeks away from baseball activity. I mean, come on. He'd have to go play in the minors for a straight month before you'd even take him seriously. Pete in Babylon, what's up, Pete?
What's going on, Mike?
What's happening?
Listen, I got to be honest. This Steven Matz guy is driving me crazy, Mike. I mean, honestly, I think the guy lacks any form of toughness whatsoever. I mean, the other game against the Braves, he's pitching great. He goes into the third or fourth inning, and he gets taken out for finger discomfort.
He got hit with a bat.
Yeah, but still, Mike, are you telling me Max Scherzer comes out in the fourth inning?
You don't know. Here's the one thing I learned a long time ago, Pete. It is very easy for you or anyone at a distance to discuss somebody else's injuries or toughness. But I remember when they did that with J.R. Richard, called him a malingerer, and he had a stroke. And people were calling him a quitter. They were calling him a malingerer, and he was saying, I'm not well. And then they found out that he had actually had a stroke. So you don't know whether someone can play. You can't judge their pain. You just got to take them at their word. So you don't know which guy can play and which guy can't play when it comes to injuries. And for you to make judgments, it's just futile because it doesn't work. You just don't know. You really don't. And he's a pitcher, and he suffered an injury to his hand. Now, hopefully it isn't a serious one. They're always going to be precautionary. When a guy says, hey, and they saw bruising on his hand, they're going to take him out of the game. That's all there is to it. He did not want to come out of the game. He asked to stay in the game. Just so you get the record straight, he asked to stay in the game. They saw bruising on his finger and said, you got to come out of the game. These guys are worth a lot of money. You cannot treat them like, hey, you know what, we'll find out tomorrow what the injury is. You can't do that. If they do that, they're wrong. So they're wrong if they do, they're wrong if they don't. That's why it's a tough situation. It really is. And I understand from your standpoint you get frustrated by it. But it doesn't mean that he's not tough. Kevin in Parsippany, what's up, Kevin?
What's going on, Mike? Welcome back.
Thank you. What's happening?
Just want to bring up something about Gleyber Torres. I mean, the guy's been completely impressive.
Oh, he's been
for
great.
The first couple months that he's been here.
Been great.
And I just wanted to ask you, who's the last Yankee that you can remember that has come up as a rookie through their system? And I know he wasn't originally in their system, but he spent some time there and has made this big of an impact.
Well, Cano did.
And clutch standpoint.
Cano did. Jeter did. They both did. Jeter came up and as a rookie did a great job. Fit right in. Had a great. It really had a big impact. And Cano stepped right in, and that first year played 130 games or so, hit 14 home runs, probably knocked in 70 runs. I mean, so he stepped right in and never looked back. So those are two guys that are obviously guys that look, that are just, very much fit that bill. And they both turned out to be tremendous players. Back after this.